Leona Maguire has had one of the most successful amateur golfer careers of any man or woman. She's now taken that to the women's professional game, winning on the LPGA, the LET, and the Symetra Tour. She's a successful Solheim Cup winner, and she's just won this last week at Centurion in the Aramco Team Series. So let's have a look at her swing and see what we can learn. Before we get into this analysis, I would really appreciate if you gave this video a quick like and subscribe. It helps YouTube push this video out to more people, and ultimately it helps me grow as a creator. So anything you can do to help, that'd be brilliant. So just starting in her address position, her posture's absolutely perfect, her balance points are absolutely spot on. These usual lines that I draw, sort of one from the armpit down over the balls of the feet, one from the backside should just sit nicely behind the heels, which we are perfect there. Her arms hang very nicely down from her shoulders. And just looking at the face on, Leona actually has a very weak left hand grip. Quite a neutral right hand, but definitely a very weak left hand. So we're going to see some stuff throughout the swing that may be some compensations to try and get the face back to square a little bit earlier. But Leona's posture and setup here is pretty much spot on, as with everybody else's posture and setup that I've looked at in this series. So what we're going to see is Leona takes the club away, as her left shoulder moves down very early, which gives her the shoulder tilt that she's going to work on throughout the backswing. So as a result of doing that, that moves the club head up and away outside very early, because her shoulders have sort of moved in quite a steep pattern. There's nothing wrong with that. The shoulder down is a great move for those who want to strike the ball a bit better. A lot of amateur golfers swing with a very flat shoulder plane, which can result in some issues later on in the swing. So getting that left shoulder down is brilliant. It picks the club up right up in front of her. You can see that she's kept her right hand on top of her left throughout this part of the swing. We get to that halfway back position and she's stood the shaft up pretty much vertically. She's still got a very steep shoulder tilt, not a lot of knee flex change necessarily, but she's really loading into her right hip on the way back, and actually completes her turn quite late on in the swing. So from face on, what you're going to see is her left shoulder working pretty much straight down throughout this first phase of the swing. Yeah, that's quite a significant amount of left shoulder down. But just look at how much that left shoulder moves across as well. Brilliant, and that gets us in a spine angle position where she's tilted ever so slightly away from the target. She does have a lot of extension in this lower part of the back, but she has a little bit of tilt away from the target as well. But that left shoulder has moved well across the ball, so when people are thinking, right, I need to get my left shoulder to the ball in the backswing, a better thought would be try and get your left shoulder well beyond the ball in the backswing. Let's try and turn more and more and more, because the more you turn, the further you could possibly hit it. So she gets to the top of her swing with lovely wide arms. I absolutely adore this gap between her head and the shaft. She's managed to maintain a width in her arms and her hands brilliantly. She hasn't overcocked the wrist, which is something that you might see with someone with a weak grip. But from face on, these positions are absolutely perfect. From down the line, we get into a position where the club head is just slightly to the right of her hands. The club face is pretty much square to her left wrist, which is brilliant. Her hands have achieved some depth back to the right heel, which I really like. And again, just having those hands above the head is a brilliant speed creator. I like depth, obviously, but if we can get width and depth, then that was ideal. Someone like Aberg or Scheffler, they also achieve this depth of the hands, but hands above the head position, which is perfect. That might take a little bit of flexibility, but what it requires is a massive shoulder turn here. Interestingly, not masses of hip turn to create that shoulder turn, so Leona just must be quite a flexible, mobile person.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the engagement, helps YouTube push this video to more people. It'll help me grow. It costs nothing to you, so if you could do that, that'd be great.
So what we're going to see from the top here from Leona is, because she hasn't created a massive amount of hip turn, her hands need to work back and down quite significantly in this transition phase. So if I just draw some dots on the butt end of the club, where actually you can sort of see that the butt end of the club has moved backwards. Her hands have gone back. They're now working very much down to get her into a position where By the time her knees get to square, she still manages to get her hands sort of down to somewhere near waist high, which means her upper body and her lower body's in sync. She's not out racing her hands with her hips. From the top, what we're going to see is some lateral. As the hands are dropping and working behind, we need some lateral to get our hips forward, to get our weight forwards. Interestingly here, this is a crazy position. Leona has this quite almost a bent left arm in this position and an extremely narrow wrist angle and shaft relative to right shoulder. Lag is an interesting topic because we all talk about it and everybody sort of wants it, but lag is only good if you can get rid of it, so you definitely can have too much lag. Leona gets into this position here where she has so much power created in this left elbow, the wrist cock and the shaft, that something is going to have to stop in order for her to whip the club through. Otherwise, if she just kept turning with her hips, then we would definitely see massive blocks and may have never even heard of it. So what we see as Leona moves later into the downswing, we've hit this perfect delivery, bent right arm, club head in line with hands. I can see her left leg, her left glute, the sort of the start of her left back. But what we see through this part of the swing is Leona's hips actually have to stop to slingshot her hands through, because she's created so much lag in the downswing. In order for her actually to then be able to release the club and point the club face at target, her hips have to stop, which like cracks the whip, it slingshots the club head through, which is how she hits the ball so far, and it's how she generates so much power. So we've got that lateral shift, we've got all this lag, we've got all this leverage, and then boom, she has that little jump. Hips aren't doing anything here other than stopping. You can sort of see how much she's throwing her hands at it in order to get from this crazy lag position to a fully released post-impact position. She's got that McIlroy left hand under the right hand position. This is because she's got quite a weak grip and she's obviously desperately trying to release the club and square the face during this part of the swing. But she then all the way through into a nice balanced finish. So this is a really interesting one for golfers who maybe don't hit the ball very far and looking to create some speed. We want width to lag to release, and you've got to have quite a strong hip turn on the way through, and then you actually have to have a braking mechanism which stops the hips, which then slings the club, which is quite an interesting thing. We do see this a lot, especially in like world long drive. It's really long hitters. McIlroy's a great example where his hips are turning so quickly, he gets near impact and his hips actually start to slow down, which then gives everything else a chance to swing through. But I mean, Leona's got a lovely swing. I really like how she keeps the club out in front, steep on the way back into a really wide high hands position with depth at the top. She has that little drop and then she rotates so hard and really can just throw her hands at it and then release up. This is a wonderful swing. She's going to win more and more and more, so don't be surprised with that. She's been working with her coach her entire career, so they know what they're doing, they know what works for her, and we're not really going to have any surprises. So there's plenty to learn from this swing, but as always, it starts with a good setup, a nice big turn of the shoulders on the way back, and then a shift, a rotation and a release.
Thanks very much for watching the videos. If you can please like and comment to boost the engagement, and subscribe if you don't already, that'd be great. If you like what I put out in these videos, you like what I say about technique, I can actually help you with your game no matter where you are in the world. So if you just want to click the link in the bio, it'll take you to Skillist, which is an online coaching platform, and there you can look to see what I do, and actually I can help you with your game. So analyze your swing, give you some drills and tips to help you improve, so we can work together to help you lower your handicap.